Hello and welcome to my review of the Seiko Sportura Kinetic GMT model number SUN017P1. This watch has a retail price of $525, but it's usually available on the internet for about $400. The diameter of the watch is 44.3 millimeters, and it has a sapphire crystal front as well as a display case back at the back. One thing which you immediately appreciate when you see this watch is the beautiful cobalt blue 24-hour bezel, as well as the three-dimensionality of the dial. So if you look closely at the dial, you'll see there's this nice textured area in the center, and the chapter ring is raised off that center area, as well as their nice applied hour indices which extend into the central region and is actually offset vertically from the central region as well. So all in all, an extremely beautifully appointed dial, especially for a watch at this price point. So in addition to that, you'll see that it has a yellow 24-hour GMT hand, and of course you use that in conjunction with the 24-hour bezel to indicate a second time zone. So the watch itself is extremely substantial and has a very nice bracelet, which has a interplay of brushed and polished surfaces, which you see here. The bracelet itself has solid end links as well as solid links, and you adjust the bracelet using standard split pins here. As for the clasp, it's a relatively standard push-button clasp, a deployant clasp. And as you press the buttons, you release the deployant, which you see here. And in addition to that, you'll have these three micro-adjustable slots. So what happens is that there is a spring bar which attaches the bracelet to the clasp. And if you release that spring bar, you can then reattach it back to the clasp at a different location, which allows you to finally adjust the fit of the bracelet. So now let me say something about the water resistance of the watch. The watch is water resistant to 100 meters, and it features a screw-down crown. So now let me say something more about the movement. This watch is equipped with the new Seiko Kinetic 5M85 movement, and as the name implies, this is a quartz movement which is powered by the motion of your hands. Okay, so what happens is that there is a rechargeable capacitor which is inside the watch, and as you move your wrist while wearing the watch, this little weight at the back moves as well, and what happens is that the motion of that rotor is converted into electrical charge, and that goes on to charge the capacitor which is in the watch. So when the watch is fully charged, it has a power reserve of 6 months, and you can check the level of the power reserve by pressing this button at the 2 o'clock location. So when I press this button, you'll see that the second hand jumps forward. In this case, it jumps forward by about 30 seconds to indicate that the watch is fully charged. If we were to jump forward only 20 seconds, it would mean that the watch has at least 1 month of power reserve, and so on. So one thing worth noting is that even though the second hands have jumped forward, the watch is still tracking the correct time, and once the time has caught up with the position of the second hand, then the second hand will start ticking again. So you'll see that it's just started ticking, and so the timekeeping functionality of the watch is not at all compromised when you use the power reserve indicator. So let me say now something about the GMT hand. So of course this GMT hand, as I said, can be used to indicate a second time zone, but another possible use of this is as a solar compass. So if the GMT hand is synchronized with the hour hands, which is to say they indicate the same time, then what would happen is that when you point the main hour hand to the sun, then the GMT hand will point towards north. So that's another thing which is worth knowing about GMT watches in general. So now let me say something about how you might adjust the time on this watch. So if you were to unscrew the crown and pull it out to the first stop, then you can adjust the main hands in 1 hour increments. So this is referred to as a quick set on the main hour hands. So you'll see that you can move the hour hands forwards and backwards. Okay, and one thing which is worth noting is that the date indicator is tied with the main hour hands, as you might expect. So if I were to move the main hour hands backwards, you'll see that the date has actually gone backwards, as you would expect it to. And if I move it forward, it will move forward as well. So you might be familiar with watches where the quick set is actually tied with the GMT hand as opposed to the main hand. And so let me now say why I tend to prefer watches where the quick set is tied to the main hour hand, as is the case with this watch. And the reason is when you travel, it's much easier to tell what the time is by looking at the main hour hands. And so since you primarily use a watch to find out what the time is at your local position, it makes more sense for the main hands to indicate the local time. And so when you're traveling to a different city, what you would want is to quick set the main hands to the current time at your location. And what would happen then is that the GMT hand would stay tied with the time at home. And this of course makes sense because if you're trying to call home, in addition to knowing what time it is, you of course also want to know whether it's day and night. And so the GMT hand indicates on the 24-hour clock what time it is, and so you know both what hour it is as well as whether it's in the morning or at night. So this is much more natural functionality for a GMT watch, especially when you're traveling. So let me just say that in summary, this is an extremely attractive and well-made watch. It's very substantial. It has a beautiful cobalt blue bezel and a really nicely appointed three-dimensional dial. The true GMT functionality, as I said, is quite rare, and it's extremely natural when you use this as a travel watch. So the watch, I think, is very, very nicely made, and I think it also offers a truly exceptional value proposition. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and I look forward to hearing more from you.